Hello, BAME Farm fans. Well, it's another chicken video. Yep, all 1,000 of them. So it's springtime, and things are growing. These are cover crop grass here. It's not really what we're worried about. This is more of a crop area than a vegetable area. But up here, I don't know if you can see some of the ridges from where the beds were from the vegetables, but the chickens mostly have this destroyed down. And that's the whole goal. I've already done one garden area, and they've been here a couple of weeks, and it's eaten down. I mean, you can see over here we still have the tomato cages in the ground. I mean, what better place to store them than out in the big barn, where they've been since last summer. Now I got to pull all these just to make it easier to get the coops up here. The chickens could run in between, no problem. But it's easier to get it evenly fertilized if the cages aren't here. I did this is a little like goof area just to use up fence, because I had a little more fence than what we needed to cover this whole area. But we're gonna run them tight back here to try to get them to eat all this off. They're not necessarily a big fan of the mustard, and they might eat the leaves off the wild aster, but we mostly want them to eat the grass. I mean, they'll take all this organic material and they'll eat quite a bit of it, and then they will leave their manure behind. To help the next bunch of vegetables grow. Yeah, so we had tomatoes out here, and we'll rotate. There probably will not be tomatoes back here. It's a big thing. You got to rotate your nightshades so they don't cause any disease problems from, say, overpopulation or like pressure from the say constant monocropping of such plants. So I'll probably have like melons, some green beans, something like that back here, which is not a nightshade. And it's a bit of a tedious process. We got to clean the cages off, all the stuff growing on them. It is much faster if the chickens are out here, because they will have somehow worked this material off the cages a little bit just from being here. Either they will get inside and scratch around, and that helps quite a bit. I don't know if they'll eat much of it because it's old and dry. So yeah, just imagine this taking a while, and I'll get back to you guys on the next step of the cage process. We've got two different styles of cages. These are the old mesh ones. They're not very space efficient for storage, but they're very sturdy. It's just concrete reinforcing mesh. They'll last a very, very long time. The only thing that happens to them is sometimes, and this is after say 20 years, because that's about how old most of these cages are, if not more. I wasn't very old when we made some of these, and I know a lot of them are from before my time, that the feet, or the spikes, whatever we want to call them, on the bottom, some of them have kind of like rusted off, or rusted enough that they break off easy. And then over there, which we'll see those later, are some ones we bought, and they're just more of a standard cone cage, but they work pretty well. They've got very long legs, and we get them in deep in the ground. Plus the holes are bigger, so it's easier to get our hands in. I should make a video when we cage tomatoes here in about a month. It is May 5th. But yeah, I should make a video in about a month when we do that. And explain why I like caging better than doing the stakes and tying. Between what holds the plants better and then what requires more work. When I've transitioned to the conical cages, I do like these much better, because they can stack, much more space efficient. And these black ones are some sort of like plastic coating, so they come out of the ground nice. There's no dirt or rust on the bottom. I just did some galvanized ones down there, and the dirt sticks to the metal, and inevitably the bottoms will start rusting, even though they're galvanized. Yeah, these clean much easier. They don't have them as much, say, they don't have a ring too close to the bottom, even though they're that deep, so they're not all covered in whatever weeds are growing out here. That will be great chicken food. I'm trying to be organized about this and put 10 in a stack. Now I still have to go someplace with all of these, and we will see that shortly. I mean, the only one downside is that these have larger holes, so sometimes you gotta spend a little time walking down the rows and pushing the plants in the cage. But that's not a big deal. They're very easy to reach through for picking. Okay, here's my 10 for this stack. The only thing you gotta watch out when pulling these is that the rings are very easy to bend. So you always gotta pull them near the legs. It's a lot to keep track of to make sure all the legs stay inside each ring. It's really annoying when you have floppy legs sticking out. That's our 10. It's still fairly light. Well, here we go with the stacking. The good news is these will go back on tomatoes before I need the hay wagons back. So I'm gonna stack them on here for now, and then that makes it easy to move to wherever we plant tomatoes. Sometimes we'll stack them along the side of the barn, but not right now, because my goal usually is to get the tomatoes caged, shortly after they're planted, because if that doesn't happen then it can be a challenge and the tomatoes grow, and then obviously they get too big and it's harder to get the cages on. When they're small, you just plop them right after they're planted and it's done. You don't have to look at them until it's time to pick. Now I can't quite stack these off from the ground, so I just throw some up here on the wagon and then stack them up there. I gotta watch out. We have two different sizes. I left some of those. These are what I would call the five squares tall, and we've got some that are 6 and some that are 7. Don't ask me why. I didn't make them, and a lot of these were around before my time. But different varieties will get a different cage. Like Roma tomatoes stay short. Some of them, like bush varieties, are short. We put the shorter cages on them. Now the taller ones go on some of the bigger tomatoes and or the cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes grow like weeds. So make a nice little pyramid out of these. And we'll do that a bunch more times until the wagon's full. Then we drive very, very slowly so that they don't fall off. And then hope we pick these all up, because it's really hard to see, just the wire cages at times. I have left some behind and some have gotten run over in the past. We'll interlock the feet a little bit. That'll help hold the pile together. That way they don't go nowhere. Might be a little challenging to get them apart if they're hooked, but that's the whole point, so they don't fall off. Well, here we go. All the cages are loaded. There was a whole full wagon load of the old style mesh cages. And that's all of the cone ones. There's still more in a different garden area out front, but this is enough to get the chicken trailers here so they can destroy this down. Well, most of the chickens are going in. You can see we've had rain because of the puddles out here. Kind of delayed the tomato cage party. So I'm gonna start pulling fence. And well, if you want to see a fence moving video, I will put a link here. But I'm trying to get them moved tonight because it's supposed to rain a bunch more tomorrow. So at least they'll have fresh greenery to chew on instead of mud puddles to look at. I mean, obviously the goal is to get this destroyed off, and they have thoroughly done that. But now I know where the Toledo Mud Hens baseball team got their name from. Now we're definitely ready to collect eggs. I really like the milk cartons for that. So here the chickens are. The next morning after moving, we had over an inch of rain. And you can see how well they're doing it. Oh, hey, what did they find there? Is that a snake? Oh, they found a snake. Well, poor little guy. Wasn't a big one. Maybe a foot long. Death by chicken. Rough way to go. Now what are you two girls doing out? You're on the wrong side of the fence. Well, we can hop in here and catch them real quick. I hate rain. Makes everything a mess. I mean, they've got puddles to drink out of. The swimming pool feeders are full of water. Definitely. Okay. Now the question is, can I reach over and get them? The fish net is fantastic for catching chickens. It gives you just a couple more feet of reach. Come on, there you go. Don't hop into the fence, just get in the net. There we go. Well, she's in. It's effective. I still gotta hook up the fence. Now this area, I don't have to go back outside. This area is only 2 fences. So it's less, or probably close to half of what area they had before. Okay. There you go, you're free. Run around, destroy stuff, eat snakes, whatever you find. So yeah, we'll probably come back in about a week and I'll show you how destroyed off this gets. What sort of weeds the chickens ate. They'll mostly eat the leaves off these asters. They'll mow the grass down pretty good. And hopefully it's about as bare as that, so it tills up nicely. And somewhere along the line, not today, and definitely not in this area, but at some point, you know, show off collecting eggs. I know I've got egg washing videos, that hasn't changed. But it's like having an Easter egg hunt every day, just filling the baskets up. A little less searching though. They're all contained right in the boxes. Have fun, little dinosaurs. Well, we're getting to the more fun mechanical part of this video. Because the chickens were here, and we see the ground is like, as the neighbor Steve likes to call, scorched earth. It's just thorough chicken burn down is what it is. We've killed off and thoroughly destroyed all the weeds. By we, I mean the chickens. They're working on that area over there. Starting out with much taller grass. They probably trample more than they actually eat. There's actually a nice layer of straw out there. Great for holding the soil, right? Especially for how sloping that is. We're still going to till that up. But, you know, they're destroying, picking out what they want, all that good stuff. Vegetables won't go there. We're going to have either silage corn or soybeans on this hillside. This is the forgotten about hillside where it gets planted last. It's forgotten about until then. So I run the chickens there. It's great for in the spring. We get lots of rains. It keeps the water running away and doesn't pool underneath the coops. Probably should run the coops there in the winter also. But this is where we're planting vegetables back here behind the greenhouse and the house. And there is not much growing out here. It makes it till up wonderfully. So we're gonna see me come through with the disc and open it up, get some air in it, because you gotta get that moisture out. It's all it does is rain. And there's actually, there's drainage tile underneath this. You could figure out why. This is the other garden area that Dad ran the disc across earlier. You can see, based on the darkness of some of those clods, there was some moisture here, but the sun and heat have started to dry it out. We'll see if he makes some dust rototilling. He's over there getting fueled up. One thing I like about running the chickens out here, and I said this in the tomato planting video, or will say it in the tomato planting video, is the fact of the calcium in the chicken feed. Some of it invariably will pass through the chicken, or if they waste feed, it still ends up on the ground, but that's not a problem. I mean, we don't want to waste feed, but you know, they're not wild, but they're out here free-ranging, and I don't say overly regulate their feed like they would in a factory setting, which, you know, they'd have, you know, full mechanization. You'll only be getting, say, so many cups of food per day per chicken. So yeah, so even if there's food waste, the calcium is fantastic for our soil, and it's great for the tomatoes also. Okay, let's get to the mechanics of this operation. Here Dad comes making the first pass of the rototiller over this. More than likely it'll get rototilled twice. We gotta have it really super fine for the layer to shape the bed good. One thing about running the disc with the wings up is that I guess the back doesn't catch the dirt that the front throws out. Now if I had the wings down, then, you know, the wings fold out and they're a little bit wider, I guess, than the front set of gangs. However, being in such a confined area, it seems kind of pointless, you know, to run with the wings down. And it's so tight and congested. Now, it'd been at least a month since chickens were here, and some of the grass did start to grow back. But it seems like we're chewing that up pretty good, burying it, making absolutely no dust. So there's that. Yeah, that's just how wet it was. We've had, well, it's 31st of May, and we had the third wettest May on record, and that all came in like the last 2 weeks. Front half of May wasn't too hateful. Back half was so-so. Okay, lift, lift, lift. Whew. It's one thing that Dad drive me crazy about. Is he'll rototill up half the yard because he won't pick that lever up high enough. He's too worried about kinking the drive shaft on the rototiller. Yep, works it up real nice and fine. Well, I don't know if the plastic lining will be part of this video or not, because this will be, you know, one big video of the chickens doing burnout and doing some tillage. I'll probably make plastic lining its own separate video. So I guess we'll catch you guys later with more fun farming action.